Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute.
It's one of the warmest days of the week here in the Bay Area with 80s near San Jose. Upper 70s near Los Gatos, and we're continuing to see upper 70s along 101 into Redwood City and all the way up into San Francisco, topping off at low 70s today. A beautiful warm day off into the East Bay, upper 80s near Antioch and Concord. We have light winds in the morning hours, getting a little bit gustier as we head into this afternoon, but other than that, gosh, this forecast is beautiful with blue skies above us all throughout wine country from San Jose all the way up into Santa Rosa. Beautiful conditions for us today. Here's a look at our weather headlines heading out the door today and lasting into this afternoon. We're going to continue to see that warm, dry setup for us, and then into the next couple days, we actually just have near average temperatures as we slowly start to cool down, getting closer to our weekend forecast, where daytime highs are suddenly, gosh, in the 60s. I'll show you that coming up in just a bit. Luckily, that system that's moving in with some cool weather around the corner is going to keep us dry, though. We'll see some passing clouds, but looking at the next 7 days, we are remaining dry all throughout the Bay Area. And it's worth noting that we've gone 17 days so far with no rain, and we're going to continue to see more of that in the next 6 to 10 days. The Climate Prediction Center is showing drier than normal conditions here in the Bay Area and pretty much all throughout the state of California. So let's look at what's going on for us as we head into the next 7 days. 80s turning into 70s just by Thursday. Then that system moves its way in. It's low pressure from the north, and that's going to cool us off as we head all the way into our Saturday forecast down to the 60s. Luckily, we start to average out as we head into next week with more sunshine and 70s around the corner, but that's our inland forecast. Heading along the bay, it's a little bit cooler, not by much, but it's worth noting we're holding on tight to the 70s till Thursday. A little bit cloudier skies along the bay shoreline, and then heading into this weekend, 50s right around the corner by Saturday, upper 60s to kick off early next week.
Well, it's not often you hear about price drops in today's economy, but that's exactly what's happening in Oakland. Rent is getting cheaper. According to the website Apartment List, the average rent is just below $2,000 a month. That's a 10% drop from last year, and our Kelsey Thorne spoke with one renter who's taking advantage of this. She just moved to Oakland because of the lower prices.
A lot of light, yeah. We also just want a space that feels really calming, and definitely one of my favorite parts was the kitchen and like I said, the corner windows. I'm a big cook. I love cooking, so having a lot of counter space, having nice new appliances was really important to me.
India Rose Carter Bolick just moved from San Francisco to this apartment in Oakland with her partner.
I can't afford to live in San Francisco anymore, and so this kind of felt like the only option that was relatively close to home.
India says they toured dozens of apartments during their search and definitely noticed the lower prices in Oakland.
We were aiming for a 2-bedroom with the hopes that we would have a space for an office.
Here, they were able to get that. They landed in a modern 2-bedroom, 2-bath near Lake Merritt.
Yeah, we're gonna have a desk, and we're actually gonna move that small blue couch out there in here so we have a little lounge space to work in.
Local rental experts say Oakland is one of the only cities in the Bay Area seeing a decrease in rental prices right now. They say the main factor contributing to that is the amount of empty rental units in the city. Many new apartment buildings sprouted up before the pandemic. Now, with remote work and the issues the city has seen with crime and safety, not as many people are choosing to live here, meaning landlords have to decrease their rents to attract new residents. But even with the decrease in prices, the overall price of apartments in Oakland remains high compared to other cities across the country, and still prices out many people who've lived in Oakland for years. That's something India told us she thinks about a lot.
So I don't really know if the apartments that are more accessible to lower class incomes are having that same change. I don't know if they've decreased as much as these apartments in downtown Oakland have changed.
India told us she hopes the city can be a place where everyone who wants to live here can find an affordable and comfortable place to live. She and her partner are already hitting the ground running, excited to call this city their new home.
Every morning I wake up and I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really excited to get to know this community and create more connections with the different pockets of communities within Oakland.
Well, for comparison, the average rent in San Francisco is over $2,600 a month. That's $700 more than than what you would pay in Oakland. San Francisco also saw a decline in rent prices, but it was only a 1.5% drop. And as Kelsey mentioned, supply and demand is an issue in Oakland. The East Bay Rental Housing Association says it's likely temporary as the market straightens out, but it could come at a loss for the city as a whole.
It sounds great on the surface to have the vacancies because you'll likely have a more reduced rate. However, it means that municipalities won't necessarily have the kind of revenue to sustain the city and city services.
Barnes adds the excess of empty apartments is mainly in higher-end units around the downtown corridor, which still has not bounced back from the pandemic. San Francisco Unified School officials are pushing for voters to approve a $790 million bond for major improvements. The district is projected to run out of money by next year, and administrators say layoffs and school closures are likely on the way. The bond measure would be the largest in the district's history. However, it would only cover a fraction of what's needed. Some parents are fully supportive, while others are skeptical of whether the district officials will use the funding wisely. Katie Choi explains what's on the line and the challenges for a school district facing major financial hurdles.
Supriya Ray has been an SFUSD parent for a decade, with one of her children in high school and the other about to head to middle school next year. The district's push for a nearly $800 million bond for improvements, including renovating aging facilities, has been top of mind.
The question isn't whether we need the money. We clearly need the money.
According to the district's plan, $410 million would be for large construction projects to modernize school sites and classrooms. Ray supports SFUSD's push to put the bond measure on the November ballot when voters will decide.
I really hope the district will come out and show that it can handle funds responsibly.
Another $225 million is earmarked to build a new central food hub the district says would ensure healthy meals for all students. Some $150 million is also allocated for fixing facilities like restrooms, technology upgrades, schoolyard outdoor learning, and security.
There are more families and more kids out there who could come to SFUSD and who would hopefully opt for SFUSD if they had more confidence in our school system.
Decreasing enrollment contributing to major budget shortfalls with less funding coming from the state has been problematic. The SFUSD board is also working to rebuild trust with parents, wary of how the district has spent approved bonds in the past.
We absolutely are in to continue building the trust with the public, understanding our current financial position.
There is a lot that needs to happen, I think, through this process to kind of correct historical wrongs that have happened through bond projects, of communities feeling neglected and forgotten, sites not being fully upgraded.
Highlighting the fiscal crisis, state officials this month downgraded SFUSD's latest budget report to negative, meaning they're concerned the district will not be able to pay its bills over the next couple years.
If we can show that we can spend money well and we can do it in a way that actually improves the school environment and that improves student outcomes, that will go a huge way toward helping to regain the trust of not just parents and families, but folks throughout the city.
That includes the teachers union, which says the state's intervention will pressure the district to close underperforming schools and lead to staff layoffs. Either way, Supriya Ray believes approving a milestone bond measure could ensure a quality education for public school students in San Francisco for years to come.
That bond measure will require 55% of voter support in November to pass, and it's not expected to raise current tax rates, given the expiration of previous school bonds. Superintendent Dr. Matt Wayne released this statement on the bond measure, saying they are working as a district to ensure the bond program's successful track record of improving facilities and creating an environment where students can thrive. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, its final season at UC Santa Cruz, but grad student workers are on strike. It's not over pay. Why the university says the workers are breaking the law. Plus, our grandson is keeping a 50-year-old Japantown tradition alive. The story behind the coffee crunch cake. And mortgages aren't cheap in the Bay Area, what some homeowners are selling to help pay the bills.
Well, the big weather story for us today, at least, is this warm weather we're experiencing. Heading into this afternoon, we have blue skies above us, 80s anywhere from Livermore all the way down into San Jose, upper 80s off into the East Bay, with 70s into the heart of San Francisco. This is a great day to get out there, find a new park, find a new trail. If you have the opportunity after work to just take the dogs on one extra lap around the neighborhood, I'm sure they're going to love it because the forecast today is beautiful. 80s all throughout the North Bay. We're expecting light winds, getting a little bit gustier into the afternoon, anywhere up to around 20 miles per hour along our coastline.
Well, we covered plenty of strikes over the past year, teachers, auto workers, Hollywood actors, and writers, but a new strike at UC Santa Cruz has nothing to do with salaries or benefits. Graduate student workers there are now on strike to protest how the entire UC system has handled pro-Palestinian protests. The university argues the strike is illegal and violates their collective bargaining agreement, but the students are not backing down, even blocking off one of the main entrances and setting up a new encampment. Our Kevin Coe reports from the campus in Santa Cruz.
It's going to be hardship, but I think in terms of why we're out here, we're saying that we want divestment now. That's in the power of the UC. They can do that, and we're waiting on that.
UC Santa Cruz is in the thick of its spring quarter. Final exams are in 3 weeks, but UAW 4811, the union representing about 2,000 UC Santa Cruz grad student workers, say if their final demands aren't met, they'll stay out of class on strike. UC officials responded by filing an unfair labor practice, or ULP, with the state, stating the strike is illegal and unlawful. UC Santa Cruz Executive Vice Chancellor Lori Kletzer released this statement, which read in part, "The University of California disagrees with the union's position and views this work stoppage as unlawful and in violation of the clear terms of the collective bargaining agreements between the parties, which prohibit strikes, work stoppages, and any other concerted activities that interfere directly or indirectly with university operation." Grad student worker Jennifer calls the statement by the UC disappointing.
I do believe that we should have a safe environment where we can definitely protest without fearing that the UC police or even the city police are going to attack and arrest and have very serious consequences for those students.
Union workers are accusing the University of California of allowing violent attacks on pro-Palestine protesters by both outside agitators and police. This encampment sweep at UCLA, followed by arrest, sparked outrage across UC Santa Cruz.
To come in and sweep the encampment with that amount of violence, and I had colleagues, some of them who are not American citizens, who spent the night in jail. I mean, this is really a shame on the UC, and to not offer amnesty and sit down at the table and actually talk about divestment is on the wrong side of history, quite frankly.
Associate Professor Mariam Hale Davis teaches history, but plans to be on the front lines as union workers accuse UC of unfair labor practices. That includes the claim that the UC violated policy by summoning police to eject and arrest university employees engaged in political speech. In response to claims of violence at other campuses, UC officials stated, when protests violate university policy or threaten the safety and security of others, the university has taken lawful action to end impermissible and unlawful behavior. Students say the university's decision to deem the strike illegal won't make them leave.
Our lawyers are going to fight it out. We're out here while, our strike is supposed to be from today until June 30th.
That also means the strike will coincide with commencement ceremonies, which are set for mid-June.
And the local chapter of the Jewish Community Relations Council is asking school officials to quickly end the strike. They sent us a statement that said in part that the strike makes Jewish students feel targeted and unwelcome, and that there's no safe place for them on campus. And you may remember back in 2020, UC Santa Cruz fired more than 50 grad student workers who went on strike for higher pay, all because of the high cost of living. As part of the strike, those workers withheld fall quarter grades, but unlike this strike, the 2020 strike was not supported by their union. Well, it's a staple in San Francisco's Japantown. A beloved bakery is celebrating a huge milestone, 50 years in business. Our Sharon Chin talked to the man who started it all and the grandson who's continuing his legacy.
While his grandson crunches up a tray of candy coating, Moses Yasukochi still can't help but sneak a piece of the signature dessert he himself had baked for decades.
Somehow or other, I lasted 50 years. Well, you got the new refrigerator, huh, Kenji?
The San Francisco native opened Yasukochi's Sweet Stop in December 1974. That was your dream.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
The 87-year-old recalls how he could not refuse when friends offered him a space for a bakery inside a grocery store.
When I was a lot younger, I've always said I wanted to open a bakery in Japantown.
Why?
Why? Because there was no bakery in Japantown.
Moses made a name for himself, perfecting his own twist on the classic coffee crunch cake made famous by the old Blum's Bakery on Union Square. A glowing newspaper review changed everything for the young business owner.
I really took off, and ever since then, my business has gone up.
The publicity stirred up demand for the coffee crunch cake from locals and visitors from across the country. Moses' wife, Hatsie, helped decorate the cakes, and her smile became the face of the bakery. Their 3 daughters and grandkids also helped out. Then in 2020, Hatsie passed away after exposure to COVID.
She was really good with the customers. Me, I was the grumpy guy in the back. Maybe.
6 and 7 heavy.
Today, Moses is retired because of health issues, and he's turned the shop over to his grandson, Kenji Yik, a graduate of the French Culinary Institute.
Grandpa didn't have any of his kids want to do it, so we skipped a generation.
The city's named the bakery a legacy business. And Kenji says keeping it open isn't just good for the family, it's also good for Japantown.
We've been losing a lot of the really old businesses around here, and it's nice to know that one of them is going to be sticking around.
So far, Kenji's following his own recipe for success. The Sweet Stop is a semi-finalist for a 2023 James Beard Award, the culinary equivalent of the Oscars. Despite its sustained popularity, Kenji admits he cannot bake his family's famous cake and eat it too.
It's 15 years of having it at every single birthday, and you get tired of it eventually. So I don't think I've actually had it beyond just taste testing to make sure that it's right.
For him, the icing on the cake is making people happy.
So that's one of the things that I enjoy the most about it is you give them the cake and they're like, oh, I'm so excited. It's a big birthday party. We're so excited. Oh, my grandma ate this when she was growing up. And then you supplement.
And so, with his grandfather on the sidelines, Kenji keeps the family tradition alive, celebrating 5 decades of growing a sweet spot for Yasukochi's Sweet Stop.
I have no idea how many family dinners and birthdays we've had that cake at our place. Moses says the secrets to the longevity of his bakery are to work hard and do not compromise on quality ingredients. And you can watch our hour-long special Roots and Resilience and AAPI celebration this Friday at 4 p.m. on KPIX and streaming right here on CBS News Bay Area. Still ahead.
I think it's just beyond help. It's frustrating.
It might be the last straw for this Mission Creek boater, the battle over the bay water and pollution. And a reminder, you can stream CBS News Bay Area wherever, whenever. Catch all of our live newscasts plus news and weather updates throughout the day. Find us on the free CBS News app or on Pluto TV.
Well, from wine country off into the East Bay today, we are dealing with some really warm weather. Oh gosh, 80s in the forecast for us today all throughout our inland areas. Beautiful blue skies above us. We're sitting in the 70s today in San Francisco. This is the day to head out to a new park. Maybe pick your favorite park. Maybe take the dogs just on an extra lap around the neighborhood after work today. It is a beautiful day to get out there and get some fresh air. A little bit gustier into the afternoon hours today with the wind speeds anywhere up to around 20, 25 miles per hour at times along our shoreline. But other than that, I mean, this is the weather that we have been wanting here in the Bay Area. It's beautiful, it's mild, and we'll continue to hold on tight to this warm weather today and tomorrow, cooling down slowly as we head into our weekend forecast right around the corner. Notice how these upper 80s quickly turn into 60s in the forecast for us just by Saturday as low pressure moves in from the north, keeping us nice and cool in our inland areas, and we'll see a similar trend all along the Bay shoreline too.
Well, it's a wastewater wake-up call. The Fed's taking San Francisco to court over an alarming amount of raw sewage spilling into the bay. This month, the Environmental Protection Agency and the state of California sued the city of San Francisco over the amount of sewage that's getting dumped into the bay. San Francisco uses a combined sewer system that collects and treats both wastewater and stormwater in the same network of pipes. The problem is when it rains a lot, the system can easily overflow. And the feds say that means water that hasn't been properly disinfected is released into local creeks, the bay, and onto beaches. Julia Goodrich got a first-hand look at one place where that sewage ends up and the potential consequences for the people who live there.
This marina has 55 slips.
Bruno Heydrich has docked his boat along Mission Creek in San Francisco for more than 30 years.
I can't even do this anymore. I'm getting too old.
It is also where people live in houseboats.
How about that?
Mission Creek is just past the Giants ballpark and through two drawbridges, where Bruno spends much of his time on his boat and around the water.
Yes.
Would you swim in this water?
I don't like to. I rarely. No.
Because it's cold?
It's foul. It's just not. You know, if you swim in this water, you better take a shower afterwards.
It's no secret untreated sewage has been spilling into Mission Creek and into the bay after heavy rains. According to Baykeeper,
everything gets dumped out into this creek.
Sajal is executive director of SF Baykeeper and says the sewage system gets overwhelmed.
So we're looking at houseboats in Mission Creek, and these are people who live on the water right here. And so anytime that there's a discharge from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission's gates here in the creek, these homes are exposed to anything that's in that water. It's a pretty sad situation. Anytime there's a heavy rainstorm, we have massive amounts of discharge that are happening in this creek. And that discharge has pollution like trash. It also has sewage, raw sewage, bacteria, and it can have all kinds of things like syringes and condoms.
I mean, you get needles, you get syringes, you name it.
This isn't a new issue. This has been going on for decades. But now the Environmental Protection Agency and the San Francisco Baykeeper are sounding the alarm. They're taking legal action and holding these agencies accountable. They want something done now. In early March, Baykeeper notified San Francisco and its Public Utilities Commission that they would be filing a lawsuit to hold them accountable for polluting the bay. Now, the EPA is doing the same, suing San Francisco for violating the Clean Water Act over the same conduct.
We've given the city many, many years to try to solve the problem on their own, and they haven't been able to do it. They've told us many times we have a master plan, we're putting millions of dollars into the system to try to fix some of these problems, and yet year after year they continue to discharge.
According to the complaint filed, the city has discharged an annual average of 1.8 billion gallons of combined sewage. People live along here, they're in canoes, so what is the concern for them, and have they launched any complaints?
Yeah, it's a good question. The houseboat owners have been pretty silent on this issue, at least from our perspective. They haven't really reached out to us to let us know what they're experiencing, but we have heard from kayakers and swimmers in the area and also around San Francisco that are really concerned about the pollution that's in the water.
I think it's just beyond help. It's frustrating.
Bruno says it just isn't a battle he wants to take on. Is it a legal battle or is it fix the issue?
Yeah, so I really hope that they don't take this to court. We don't need to go to court. We can solve this outside of court. We can come up with solutions that are going to be really better for the Bay and better for the people of San Francisco.
Until then, Bruno says he may not ride out this wave.
I'm thinking about selling the boat and moving on.
Well, Julia reached out to the SFPUC for a response. They called the lawsuit unfair to taxpayers. A spokesperson told us in a statement, partnership and support from the federal and state government would be more helpful than costly and counterproductive litigation. Well, the city operates 3 sewage plants. The SFPUC says it's upgrading one of them that handles 80% of the wastewater. It also plans to build a 4th treatment plant on Treasure Island and says it's investing more than $2 billion over the next 15 years to further protect water quality. It also plans to build that 4th treatment plant, like we just mentioned, on Treasure Island and says it's investing that $2 billion over the next 15 years. Coming up our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, we take a look at another solution to California's housing crisis. More on the new law that's making it easier for people to split their properties and sell them off. And big dreams for a Bay Area baseball player hoping to follow his older brother into the major leagues. Meet St. Mary's catcher, Connor Harrison. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute. A federal investigation underway into a Pleasanton car crash that killed a family of 4 last month. The Highway Traffic Safety Administration says they will look at the circumstances of the crash. The complaint filed says there's suspicion that the car might have experienced steering wheel failure. A fire put out at a Tesla factory in Fremont. Our chopper was over the scene while firefighters were on the roof last night. You can see some damage to the building. Fremont Fire says that fire started from inside an oven. No injuries were reported. And the Oakland Ballers are playing their first game today. They're on the road to face off against the Glacier Range Riders in Montana. The Ballers home opener will be at June 4th on Vermonti Park. You can watch every Friday night home game with us exclusively on Pix Plus starting on June 7th. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast, 8 and 9 p.m. on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
It's one of the warmest days of the week here in the Bay Area with 80s near San Jose, upper 70s near Los Gatos, and we're continuing to see upper 70s along 101 into Redwood City and all the way up into San Francisco, topping off at low 70s today. A beautiful warm day off into the East Bay, upper 80s near Antioch and Concord. We have light winds in the morning hours, getting a little bit gustier as we head into this afternoon, but other than that, gosh, this forecast is beautiful with blue skies above us all throughout wine country from San Jose all the way up into Santa Rosa. Beautiful conditions for us today. Here's a look at our weather headlines heading out the door today and lasting into this afternoon. We're going to continue to see that warm, dry setup for us, and then into the next couple days, we actually just have near average temperatures as we slowly start to cool down, getting closer to our weekend forecast, where daytime highs are suddenly, gosh, in the 60s. I'll show you that coming up in just a bit. Luckily, that system that's moving in with some cool weather around the corner is going to keep us dry, though. We'll see some passing clouds, but looking at the next 7 days, we are remaining dry all throughout the Bay Area, and it's worth noting that we've gone 17 days so far with no rain, and we're going to continue to see more of that in the next 6 to 10 days. The Climate Prediction Center is showing drier than normal conditions here in the Bay Area and pretty much all throughout the state of California. So let's look at what's going on for us as we head into the next 7 days. 80s turning into 70s just by Thursday. Then that system moves its way in. It's low pressure from the north, and that's going to cool us off as we head all the way into our Saturday forecast down to the 60s. Luckily, we start to average out as we head into next week with more sunshine and 70s around the corner, but that's our inland forecast. Heading along the bay, it's a little bit cooler, not by much, but it's worth noting we're holding on tight to the 70s till Thursday. A little bit cloudier skies along the bay shoreline, and then heading into this weekend, 50s right around the corner by Saturday, upper 60s to kick off early next week.
As California battles a severe housing crisis, state laws continue to be tweaked to address the issue. A sobering report gives some clarity, though. Last month, Bankrate looked at 50 metro areas and found that the Bay Area had the biggest gaps between renting and buying. In areas of San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley, renters pay about $3,500 a month, compared to that to an average mortgage payment of more than $8,500. A similar situation in the South Bay, where rent is about $3,200, but a mortgage is also $8,500. Now homeowners are finding more options to split and sell their backyards, which can lead to more housing. Kenny Choi shows us how the California Home Act is opening up opportunities for fixed-income retirees and others, too.
Gail Tremaine and her husband bought their San Jose property in the late 70s. It's where they want to age in place.
And you know, we all need a place to get away and be able to relax and decompress.
There's a plethora of trees to prune, so many they wanted to split their lot decades ago, but it wasn't legal until 2 years ago, when SB 9 gave homeowners the green light to split their lots and build up to 4 homes on a single-family parcel.
This is going to give us a chance to be able to pay off finally the last part of our mortgage.
The cash they're set to receive, giving up 40% of their lot, will provide some security, as Gail's husband is battling health issues.
This is a simple way of doing it.
But instead of navigating on their own a daunting maze, obtaining numerous permits and paying thousands in fees up front, Tremaine found a company called Build Casa to help. Ben Baer is co-founder of the Oakland-based startup that does the work to split the lot and sells it to the highest bidder.
We focus on YIMBY cities that want more housing and recognize the problem and, are generally favorable to missing middle development.
Homeowners get cash in exchange. Build Casa can also build starter homes for sale on the newly created space using its own financing, with homeowners having the option to buy the units for rental income or a family member to live in.
You're creating a new option for people that we really view as a new version of the American dream, where people in that middle income range can afford to buy a home in California again.
Mohammed Alameldin works on policy at the Turner Center for Housing Innovation at UC Berkeley. He says it's too early to determine what the impact of companies like Build Casa will have on the housing crisis.
If the legislature follows the formula that they've done with accessory dwelling units, where they keep refining the legislation every year, making it easier and easier for more people to pursue lot splits, then we will find that more units are being constructed.
But Alla Meldon also believes there is significant potential to create more housing if lot split laws are simplified within the more than 500 local jurisdictions across the state.
They are working within the bounds of something that hasn't been legal for the last 40 and 50 years. So there might be some hiccups along the way.
Analysis from the Turner Center shows there are some 700,000 parcels in California that could be split under SB 9, as the state faces a current shortage of 3.5 million homes.
Any housing that is built in California, and particularly in Santa Clara Valley at the moment, is a good thing.
It's giving her family confidence they're doing their part in this housing crisis.
And the Tremaines are also considering putting an ADU on their existing property for rental income. Up next. How the beating of a taiko drum sends a bold and powerful message about our Japanese American community.
Well, the big weather story for us today, at least, is this warm weather we're experiencing. Heading into this afternoon, we have blue skies above us, 80s anywhere from Livermore all the way down into San Jose, upper 80s off into the East Bay, with 70s into the heart of San Francisco. This is a great day to get out there, find a new park, find a new trail. If you have the opportunity after work to just take the dogs on one extra lap around the neighborhood, I'm sure they're going to love it because the forecast today is beautiful. 80s all throughout the North Bay. We're expecting light winds, getting a little bit gustier into the afternoon, anywhere up to around 20 miles per hour along our coastline.
Well, the St. Mary's baseball team will head to Las Vegas this week for the West Coast Conference Tournament. The Gales are hoping to make the NCAA tournament, but their freshman catcher has even bigger goals. Meet Connor Bear Harrison. He's a younger brother of Giants pitcher Kyle Harrison, but as Matt Lively reports, the catcher doesn't spend too much time in Kyle's shadow.
It's awesome that I'm close to home, close to him. It's awesome. I love this sport, and I'm glad that we both made it pretty far in this sport, and hopefully we can keep on rising.
That's Bear Harrison, Kyle's little brother. He's a freshman for St. Mary's, putting up big numbers just over the bridge from where his big bro is pitching at Oracle Park.
It's cool, you know. He's always my little brother, so you know, I love beating up on him for as long as I remember, and love how he's settling into the Division I baseball, and he's doing great so far.
Harrison drives this one deep to right field, going back at the wall. Book hit, Bear Harrison round trip.
The pair grew up playing baseball in the Bay. Bear always admired his older brother of 4 years, even getting his nickname while he watched his games.
I'd be climbing the trees, messing around, playing every ball I could possibly find. And then everybody around me was like, let's call him a bear. He kind of acts like a bear.
Just resembles a bear, you know. It kind of came when he was always watching my games, being such a good little brother, going to every travel ball tournament, and you know, he's just the bear.
It's every parent's wish to have their kids stay close. Although one Harrison brother utilizes the trips home more than the other.
I'm definitely bringing home laundry and getting home cooked meals for sure. Yeah, that's kind of the only reason I go home. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Mom.
He cheats. I told him, you're a cheater, dude. You got to do your own laundry, and college life ain't too easy. He's making it seem real easy, though.
So are you not going home nearly as often?
Not nearly as often, no. I've kind of outgrown that.
The two hardly get to watch each other in person now, but their first memories in the sport were with each other.
For as long as I remember, he was my off-season buddy, you know, playing catch and in the squad.
And when we were little, for sure, we would play in the backyard, make me get down in a squat.
Bear saw Kyle's MLB debut in Philadelphia last season, a payoff to all those days in the yard.
It seemed like I was like right there, like pitching, like every pitch, like I was like, let's go get him right here. Like it seemed like I was like up there too, like playing. It was really cool.
Bear has his own MLB aspirations, and the brothers have their own Harrison dream.
He did say it would be a dream to maybe one day in the majors, you be on the mound and he behind the plate. What would that be like for you?
It'd be a cool experience, definitely. You know, I think that's something that even, you know, my mom and dad would love, you know, but he's got to stay on it.
I've definitely thought about it for sure. I mean, multiple times, but it's really hard to do that. I mean, hopefully we can make that happen one time.
Well, we're reclaiming heritage with each beat of the drum. This ancient Japanese art form was recently on full display at the 46th annual Nikkei Matsuri Festival in San Jose's Japantown. As we continue to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month, our Len Ramirez went behind the scenes with San Jose Taiko to hear the meaning behind the music.
When Franco Imperial hits the ancient taiko drum,
I feel like there's a relationship happening in terms of connecting with the instrument.
It creates a certain sensation.
And that translates to what the audience hears and feels.
And whether it's a single drum in the studio, or a group of them in the street, creating something people can hear and feel is what San Jose Taiko has been doing for the past 51 years.
We all have a heartbeat, and I think that pulse is something that we all tap into when we're doing any kind of drumming.
Franco joined the group 26 years ago and is the group's longtime artistic director.
When I am drumming, I feel pure joy. Bliss.
And those are some of the feelings the founders of San Jose Taiko tapped into in 1973, when a new Japanese-American cultural pride emerged decades after World War II and the hardship of internment.
That generation, I think, really struggled and fought to reclaim that identity with pride and with honor.
Wisa Uemura began playing taiko as a Stanford student in 1993 and is now executive director.
And taiko, for at least our select group of founding members, really was a way for them to say, this is a Japanese art form, and it's not a quiet, passive art form that so many people associate with the Japanese culture. It is something very loud, very powerful, very much in your face as far as being, like, claiming their voice, claiming their heritage, and that really spoke to those individuals and continues to this day.
Although permanently a part of San Jose's Japantown, the group has evolved into one of the premier arts organizations in the city, attracting students and players from all backgrounds.
It's kata, musical technique, attitude, and ki. If you can embrace those four principles, then it doesn't matter the color of your skin or your gender or anything about you. As long as you can embrace those principles, then you can be a part of this group.
The drumbeat goes on for San Jose Taiko, keeping culture and tradition alive while reaching out to new artists and new audiences every day.
And you can watch our hour-long special Roots and Resilience and AAPI celebration this Friday at 4 p.m. on KPIX and streaming right here on CBS News Bay Area. Coming up, we've seen the future of artificial intelligence, but where do we draw the line? A Hollywood actress now demanding answers from a Bay Area company.
From one country off into the East Bay today, we are dealing with some really warm weather. Oh gosh, 80s in the forecast for us today all throughout our inland areas. Beautiful blue skies above us. We're sitting in the 70s today in San Francisco. This is the day to head out to a new park. Maybe pick your favorite park. Maybe take the dogs just on an extra lap around the neighborhood after work today. It is a beautiful day to get out there and get some fresh air. A little bit gustier into the afternoon hours today with the wind speeds anywhere up to around 20, 25 miles per hour at times along our shoreline. But other than that, I mean, this is the weather that we have been wanting here in the Bay Area. It's beautiful, it's mild, and we'll continue to hold on tight to this warm weather today and tomorrow, cooling down slowly as we head into our weekend forecast right around the corner. Notice how these upper 80s quickly turn into 60s in the forecast for us just by Saturday as low pressure moves in from the north, keeping us nice and cool in our inland areas, and we'll see a similar trend all along the Bay shoreline too.
Well, the Bay Area has been called the AI capital of the world, and San Francisco's OpenAI has been ahead of the curve in creating the latest technology. But now, a Hollywood actress is accusing the Bay Area company of going too far. Scarlett Johansson claims OpenAI is copying her voice. And as Lauren Tom shows us, the actress says their new personal assistant sounds just like her.
Would you like your OS to have a male or female voice?
Female, I guess.
Like a scene from a sci-fi movie, a familiar-sounding robotic voice is ready to assist in ways AI expert Ahmed Banafa says is way ahead of schedule. But this scene has become reality.
the scenario we are living in now, which is in 2024, started in 2022, we're supposed to have it in 2040 based on the progression of the hardware and the software and the talents. It's a little bit concerning because we're going too fast.
That speed has catapulted San Francisco-based AI company OpenAI squarely in a debate over intellectual property after actress Scarlett Johansson claimed the company's voice feature named Sky sounded eerily similar to her voice. The company has since suspended its use. It's an issue, Banafa says, that comes down to intellectual property.
But famous people who have some kind of a special tone that if you hear it, you know who is that actor, you know who is that actress.
In a statement Sunday, OpenAI said it believes AI voices should not deliberately mimic a celebrity's distinct voice and maintains Sky's voice is not an imitation of Johansson's, but rather belongs to a different professional actress whose name they have not publicized. According to a statement from Johansson obtained by CBS News Bay Area, she did participate in talks with OpenAI to narrate the voice, but ultimately declined. She said she was shocked, angered, and in disbelief the company would pursue a voice so similar to hers that her closest friends and news outlets could not tell the difference.
It's like the Wild West. We're trying to find our limits. And to find those limits, we have to hit some kind of cases like this and say, okay, so we're not going to do it again.
Lawmakers are rushing to pass laws to protect actors from a growing AI industry. Bay Area Assemblymember Rebecca Bauer-Kahn is working on laws to ban the use of a deceased actor's image or voice for decades after they pass.
We want to make sure every artist's likeness, voice, artistic expression is protected so that things like this don't happen, so that, you get to consent to whether your voice is used or not.
That consent, according to Johansson, was not given, but the interest from OpenAI to replicate Johansson's role in the 2013 movie Her continued. In the movie, Johansson plays an intuitive operating system that becomes the love interest of the main character.
How's everything with you?
Pretty good, actually. It's really nice to meet you.
A concept OpenAI CEO Sam Altman appeared to reference in a May 13th tweet with the same title, Her.
It's all about being fair with the owners of the features, intellectual property, talents.
Correcting the course before it's too late.
And thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories. Ryan Yamamoto. This is a minute. One person is dead after a car crash in Fremont. This happened overnight on Fremont Boulevard between Thornton Avenue and Peralta Boulevard. Another person was injured. You can see a lot of debris on the road there. Police said this area will be closed off for several hours. Hundreds of drivers for Lyft and Uber and DoorDash are making their way to San Francisco as part of an organized rally against Prop 22, which categorizes them as independent contractors. The state Supreme Court is set to consider today whether Prop 22 should be overturned. Oakland City Council will vote today for changes to its police chase policy. Currently, officers are only allowed to pursue violent and armed suspects. The proposal seeks to balance public safety concerns with the potential dangers of police pursuits. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute.
It's one of the warmest days of the week here in the Bay Area with 80s near San Jose, upper 70s near Los Gatos, and we're continuing to see upper 70s along 101 into Redwood City and all the way up into San Francisco, topping off at low 70s today. A beautiful warm day off into the East Bay, upper 80s near Antioch and Concord. We have light winds in the morning hours, getting a little bit gustier as we head into this afternoon, but other than that, gosh, this forecast is beautiful with blue skies above us all throughout wine country from San Jose all the way up into Santa Rosa. Beautiful conditions for us today. Here's a look at our weather headlines heading out the door today and lasting into this afternoon. We're going to continue to see that warm, dry setup for us, and then into the next couple days, we actually just have near average temperatures as we slowly start to cool down, getting closer to our weekend forecast, where daytime highs are suddenly, gosh, in the 60s. I'll show you that coming up in just a bit. Luckily, that system that's moving in with some cool weather around the corner is going to keep us dry, though. We'll see some passing clouds, but looking at